Thanks, everybody. It's great to see all of you. A lot of very familiar faces, and it's great to get everybody together. And as Danny said, there's tons of events. There's a lot of activity around AI, but there wasn't a lot that we saw around AI security. And so this isn't about Snyk, although we're very excited about Evo and what we're doing. This is about learning about how do we make all the tremendous process, all the AI enhancements, all the things that we're doing around AI and agentic applications, but doing it in a secure way, and talk about it. We got incredible speakers, networks with a ton of people here that all want to learn. And that's the purpose of this event, is for us to talk. We have great fireside chats, we get great presentations, but it's designed to learn. And how do we, I always use this analogy internally. The reason why you can go fast in a car is because you trust the brakes. And for us, we want to make sure that people leverage the power of AI, but have someone like Snyk that they can trust to make sure that what they're building and what they're using is secure. And so that's what this is about, a forum for people. I call it the RSA of AI security. This is what we want to build on. We want to make sure we have a forum for people to come and just talk about how do we secure all this stuff. There isn't a CEO out there that isn't trying to go fast with AI. And they're trying, I don't want to be that CEO that is behind in AI, right? And I'm included. And so, but we got to figure out how to do that in a secure way. And that's how we got to bring the two together so we can build trust in all the things we're doing in AI. There's no better way to start this off with a great panel. And so I've got both Anu and Taher. We'll do a fireside chat and start the day off. Thanks, everybody. Anu, Taher. Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Taher, I'm going to start with you. I've had many great conversations with you over the years, all about crypto and number theories, and the father of SSL. Give us a little, everybody who doesn't know you, a little of your background.
Numbers are awesome, man.
Numbers are awesome.
That's all I have to say about the subject. Numbers are great. Yeah, I've been in the cryptography business for 45 years. I actually had lunch with my thesis advisor 2 days ago. Martin Hellman is his name, who's kind of invented public key cryptography in the 70s. So I've been in this business for a very long time. And when I got into it, it was because the most beautiful use of number theory ever. And it was actually being applied. At the time, I never imagined it would be applied to every single thing we do every day. But it turns out the SSL thing actually changed that. Yeah. It's beautiful.
That's great.
And I've been in security for a long time. I started companies. I advised companies. I sat on boards. I'm now a venture investor as the Evolution Equity, as it says. And I spent 10 years at Salesforce as security CTO. So I've done just about anything you can imagine in security.
You have, thanks. Anu, you've been a great help for me and Snyk over the years. You had a fantastic career, or having a fantastic career at Atlassian. Help them with the cloud transition, help them with the AI transition. Tell everybody a little bit about your background, if they don't know it already.
Sure. Hi, I'm Anu. I'm the president of Atlassian. I started my career as a video games programmer at Microsoft, and mostly spent the first half of my career building developer tools and DevOps at Microsoft. And then this little Australian company called me and said, do you want to come join us? And I thought, I don't know if this is a real company. Maybe it's a scam. And so they said, why don't you just come to Sydney, meet us, and we'll see how it goes. And this was over 10 years ago. I went to Sydney, met the team. The company is called Atlassian, and all I knew was they made Jira. So I met the team, and I felt like, oh my God, this is my kind of people, my tribe. I belong with them. And I was really energized to join the company. And we were maybe about 200 people at the time, and we had one product making revenue. And as I came in as the lead PM for Jira, a lot of the team told me, oh, we're now a big company. We have big company problems. And I'm coming from Microsoft and thinking, what is this? And it was a lot of fun building up the company. Our mission was to go from one product to a multi-product platform. We went public after a couple of years, and then we decided, now that we're a public company, let's do the hardest thing possible. Let's go transform the entire business model to go from on-prem to public cloud. And being an engineer, I thought the hardest part of that was going to be replatforming the entire company. But turned out it was explaining to investors, believe us, revenue is going to come back up. It's going to drop, but it's going to be back up. And I managed the company through the cloud transition, and then we switched to being a fully distributed company. And now, the last 2 years, I spend most of my time building out the AI portfolio at Atlassian, and it's been fascinating to watch customers adopt this in a very, very accelerated way compared to all other waves that we have gone through. So yeah, it's been a fun ride.
In those conversations you're having with customers, what are you seeing that they're actually driving adoption? Like what's working? What are the success, the ones that are successful from the ones that aren't? How do they prioritize how to be the most successful with AI?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so for some context, Atlassian's a company that has 300,000 customers, so it's somewhat atypical in terms of enterprise software. So we serve SMBs to large enterprises, but we serve about 85% of the Fortune 500. So the way that companies adopt AI is quite different depending on the industry and scale and phase of company. What we've seen is, especially in the larger enterprises, I have personally been shocked at how quickly things are moving and how willing enterprises are to try completely different ways of working. Like Mercedes-Benz is a great example of a customer that has 35,000 employees, and they have a very set kind of workflows, a set kind of the way they work. But they've been very successful at adopting a lot of AI-powered workflows because they've set aside a good chunk of team thinking about how do we reorganize ourselves, how do we reinvent the way we work. So they're really rethinking their entire workflows rather than just attaching an AI tool to an existing workflow. So I think one of the most important signals that we've seen is, are companies willing to rethink how they do things versus just take existing dysfunction and make it AI powered, right? So you have to change your existing workflows to new workflows. And a second place that companies that I've seen be really successful with AI adoption is to start small, to take the pilot and really try it out in various different contexts. Because AI is transforming every part of the company and every team involved. So the way the legal team adopts AI is different from the way that the development team might adopt AI. And successful companies, for instance, we have a company called Procore, who's a customer that's a construction vertical software. Fantastic in terms of they created their own custom agents for their comms team, marketing team, legal team, and their dev team and prod team. And the kind of use cases and productivity benefits they're getting are quite different across each, but they've had the discipline to say, we are going to try it from pilot to production in various different tracks and parallelize those.
That's great. Thank you. Taher, let's drill into security. The industry has changed dramatically over the years from the internet all the way through. Lessons learned that we've learned from the past that we could apply to this AI era and what we're seeing?
I like to tell stories more than anything else.
Okay.
Let me tell a couple of stories. So 30 years ago, I was chief scientist at a company called Netscape, and where e-commerce actually started. And the goal of the company was to actually jumpstart e-commerce, and we said, hey, we have to do security because the internet is so open. As far as I can tell, SSL was the only security technology that was actually developed before the application happened. There is no other example. Since then, and that's 30 years ago, since then, we wait until the use happens. We're doing this with AI for sure. And then we catch up because bad guys do things. The reason security is bad, and I have my own opinions. You can disagree with me. I love when people disagree. I'm Egyptian originally, so you can disagree all day long. The reason security is bad is because the software quality is actually bad. It is not that it's bad guys. Yes, bad guys will always exist. It's actually their job description to hack because they're called hackers. So what are a hacker going to do if they don't hack? Yeah. The issue is the quality of the software is just not good. And the problem is it will never change. It's too late. So we're trying to catch up. And there are a lot of improvements that are being made on the quality of software as we're building things. but we're also opening, gaps. SSL solved a problem in e-commerce, which is the connection between the browser and the server. That was it. It was not trying to solve every single thing. So everything else got hacked. And people just didn't realize that, we connected everything to everything else. Yeah. How lovely. And now, we're actually complicating the story more. So when the mobile things came up, it opened new attack vectors. When social networking came up, we opened new attack vectors. Now we're adding AI to the mix, and there's other things. But the AI change is, at least in my opinion, is just as big as the e-commerce change. So we went from a society that was not connected, primarily no connections. You had to walk to a bank and do that kind of thing, to a society that's fully connected. But AI is going to change the society at about the same level, but faster. So thank you to Snyk for kind of leading this, because we need a lot of help to actually build a better connected, intelligent society for the next generations. Otherwise, we're just going to go crazy, right?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Anu, with the rapid pace of AI adoption, where does security come into any of those conversations you have with customers? Are they thinking about it? What's going to change? At what point does it become important to make sure that whatever we're doing and the pace that we're doing it in a secure way?
Yeah, it's a question I spend a lot of time thinking about, as Peter. Because when you serve companies, you have a higher bar in terms of security, governance, enterprise readiness, all of that. I have to say the one thing I'm surprised by compared to the waves that Taher was talking about, earlier waves, is I think enterprises have thought about security pretty deeply just based on experience and need across each of those different technological waves. But in the case of the AI wave, I think there is more of an excitement to adopt the technology before thinking about the security implications. Yeah. And so some of the things that I've really noticed is, in terms of AI security, new attack vectors open up, right, like Danny was talking about just now. And a lot of customers are yet to be educated about what those new vectors are, how should we tackle these. So we proactively go out and explain to them, here is how you use our AI portfolio, and these are the new kinds of attacks that open up, and these are the ways that we mitigate those. And I think there is a big need for education and explaining what the new situation is to enterprise customers. And at the same time, I think it's really fascinating. As a software building organization at Atlassian, we have over 10,000 software engineers. And the way that we think about security through the DevSecOps cycle has very much been highly integrated with the developer workflow. And when you think about the AI native SDLC, what happens when software development itself gets appended as it is getting appended right now? Where is security in the AI native software development lifecycle? I think it very much gets horizontalized as an entire thread across the whole lifecycle. Yeah. And it's a great opportunity for companies like Snyk and companies focused on AI security to really weave that entire horizontal thread so that what developers build can be secure by default rather than thinking about it as an afterthought.
Do you think it's going to take them being hacked before they react?
Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. But I do think it's very important that the fact that AI agents, especially, I think AI agents represent an elevated set of security risks. I think it's important that we are educating customers about here are the possibilities and here are the mitigations, and this is why you need to go in a certain direction.
Right. Good. What do you think? What's going to change the game?
I think a big hack is actually what's going to change the game. This is just how this industry works.
Yeah. It's always the lagger, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So there will always be a few early adopters that actually think ahead a little bit, and they will actually move ahead a little bit and try to get in front of the bad stuff. But I think the vast majority are just going to find big hacks, and the AI stack is different from the regular software stacks in a lot of different ways. Mm-hmm. So it will actually take a bit of time to figure out how to secure everything. I'm glad this effort is actually starting early.
Yeah, you talk about that. Is there any new types of threats you think coming coming out, you think, over and above that? Just you mentioned the attack surface changing the game. Anything that, for the audience needs to be aware of?
We call these things LLMs, large language models. They have nothing to do with language, actually. They're stacks of neural networks that know how to process things. And over time, they got to learn patterns of things. So when you teach it, this is how English works, or any other language, it kind of memorizes how these patterns work. But it can actually learn any other patterns. And one of the scariest things is these machines are going to run over the internet, the entire internet, and learn the attack surface of every single organization. Because they can actually understand the attack surface. So once there is a vulnerability, every place in the internet that has that vulnerability, exploitable, is going to get found faster than anybody can imagine, which is much, much faster than we used to do. So this is kind of one of the scary things that, we're going to have to handle. Putting aside understanding what the AI itself is actually doing, because these will continue to get attacked. So we're jumping on this now, but the use of AI to attack is much bigger than we think. We're early in the game, basically.
That's great. Anu, I have to admit, I used ChatGPT to get this question, so it's not my question. It was a well thought out, researched question. You've talked about the future, so we've gone through a lot of your speeches in the past. So I didn't. ChatGPT did.
Thank you.
You've talked about the future where AI agents become a new kind of teammate as these agents become more autonomous and more collaborative with each other. What are the governance and compliance challenges that leaders will face, and how do you hope that security vendors go in the future to solve some of the last mile challenges? It was a good question, wasn't it?
It's a great question. I have indeed talked a lot about autonomous agents. So Atlassian has a product called Robo, which is effectively our AI platform of sorts. So we do search, chat, and agents. We have over 3 million active users and about 33,000 agents built on it already. So it enjoys significant user adoption, which allows us to see a lot of data volume to understand how is it that people are deploying AI in the real world. We think about AI very much in the context of teamwork. That's what Atlassian's all about. We're a company who thinks about how do you unleash the potential of all teams in the world. And our thesis is that teamwork between humans and AI is going to have to evolve, just like teamwork between humans takes several different forms and shapes. So we think a lot about how do you create your own AI teammate that has the right context, that has the right permissions, that has the right understanding of your company. And in order to do that, governance and compliance are crucial. So if Anu and Peter were having a conversation, and if I decide to share something about a given customer with Peter, I may not share the same information with Taher. So the AI teammate that works with me needs to know what has Anu shared with Peter, what's the set of knowledge boundaries that occur between Anu and Peter, and likewise, what's the set of knowledge boundaries between Anu and Taher? And also relate that to the organizational chart. So for example, if Taher's Anu's boss, and Anu and Peter are peers, the kinds of information we exchange, if Peter's in legal and Anu's in development, will be different, right? So a lot of the time and energy we have spent in Robo is really to deeply understand permissioning and role-based access control, which is crucial in enterprises. But in addition to that, in governance and compliance, what has been critical is things like auditability. So great, you sent off an AI agent into the world and said, go accomplish this task. But given the level of autonomy and the increasing level of autonomy in each of these agents, what actually happened? Is there a trail of what happened? And at each decision point, as the agents become more autonomous, how do they make these decisions and who's responsible ultimately? So when the agent has an undesirable outcome in the ambit of an organization, ultimately, the way we've designed Robo is that it is your agent. So ultimately, you take accountability of what the agent did. And therefore, it's important for you to understand auditability of this, history of it, how did it interact with other agents? So Anu's agent and Peter's agent talk to each other, and what exactly happened, and what did they decide to go off and do in Taher's data system. So these will become increasingly important, and these are complex problems.
Yes.
So we are just seeing the beginning of it. So it's going to be an important evolution of how enterprise AI systems evolve.
That's great. Taher, I know I need you to put your evolution investor hat on. How do you see this, constantly changing security market? How do you see it playing out? Platforms, point solutions. You're always trying to stay ahead of the future, where it's going. How do you see it playing out? More platforms or more point?
The answer is yes. And there is a reason for why the answer is yes. If you look at it from a customer standpoint, I mean, how many security vendors? I spent 10 years at Salesforce, and I will not tell you exactly how many vendors we had, but it's more than you think. Yeah. So the reason is, trying to secure an enterprise, to me, is like, everybody likes puzzles. I mean, I love puzzles, right? But this is a puzzle that you don't know what the final picture looks like, and you get handed pieces that don't fit each other. Sometimes they overlap. Actually, most of the time they overlap. Sometimes there's gaps in the middle. So the solution is never correct. Never. There is never a correct security architecture for any enterprise. Because the solutions get built by vendors, and vendors have wonderful answers and wonderful solutions for specific security issues. The platforms need to be built. Now, we're building platforms in some peculiar ways, but platforms need to be built because the customer needs to talk to fewer people. It's just impossible to keep track of tens of different vendors. I mean, it just doesn't work. But the world changes all the time. I mean, we're talking about the AI change, which is a massive size change. So that it will build its own industry as we're here. But the security industry has always been like this. Somebody introduces any small change. When the cloud came, the cloud was actually a big change, but not as big as the AI change. And people had to rethink, because I still have my stuff on-prem, and I have a whole bunch of other things in cloud, and they need to talk to each other. That the connectivity is just very different. So you need the newer companies. That's why venture capital exists. You need the newer companies to fund and build these newer ideas to solve these new things that are coming up. Because the existing large vendors do not have the mobility, the innovation kind of capacity to actually build this in real time. So that's why there's a lot of small companies. There is always thousands of vendors in the security world. So this is repeating. I don't see, the only change that AI is doing is just faster. And you cannot combat a fast thing unless you have the fast thing. So all the solutions are going to be AI-based. You can never combat AI attacks without AI technology. It's just never going to happen. So you need to act faster. But the phenomenon is actually the same, which is you need the newer companies to solve the new problems that showed up, and you need the platform to form these pieces together. So that the customer will actually benefit, because I can't call 18 different startups I mean, I can, but it's hard.
Anu, how do you see that at Atlassian? You got how many products at Atlassian?
About 24.
24 products, right? And so with all that and the platform and point solutions, how do you see kind of the Atlassian's vision and advice you would give to people around that adoption and kind of leveraging and leaning into AI?
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. I think we have to use AI to combat the dangers created by AI. But it's also important to see that as it evolves, these are interconnected. The kind of threats we hit and the opportunities we have with AI are interconnected, just like teams are interconnected inside an organization. So the way I would think about it is, at Atlassian, we think about our 24 products as a system of work. Basically, how does work get done across an organization, across various different functions? How does marketing work with sales, work with development, work with PM? But what's happening with AI is all these functions are blurring. So when I think about who's driving AI adoption across our customers, it's not often necessarily the chief innovation officer or even the person called chief AI officer. It's really the person who's taking initiative to figure out how do I supercharge my team. And that could happen to be the chief legal officer, unlikely, but it has happened. Or it could be the chief information officer, the chief technology officer. But what starts out as adopting AI in one place has to eventually reach the system of work across your entire organization. Because what's important is as you change these workflows and boundaries are really blurring between different functions, you really want to use AI across the system level to rethink how workflows happen. So originally what the GC used to do with the CMO, used to do with the head of sales, may no longer be the workflow that you follow when you adopt an AI native operating system. And that I've seen happen in different phases. And usually the person that is going to be the champion for it is the person that's very interested in rethinking how not so ideal system works today and how you can use AI to supercharge that.
That's great. All right, I got 2 more questions and we're done. Taher, you've, this is our first AI summit, AI security summit. You've gone through a lot of the security iterations and over the years. Any advice you would give anybody starting this journey or thinking about kind of what's to come that you haven't covered so far?
This reminds me of the early RSA conferences. So before Netscape, I actually ran engineering at the company RSA. And we did the very first RSA conference in November 1991. It was smaller than this room, trust me. It was actually, but it was only for mathematicians. So if you did not have a degree in math, you were just not invited. You cannot come in. And then we actually had a couple of these conferences in this hotel that was a few years later on. So actually this reminds me of these early days.
Good.
The speed is going to be shocking. In 2 years, this is going to be as big as RSA. So Moscone is coming, or maybe Las Vegas. Don't do Las Vegas, please.
Yeah, no, we won't go to Las Vegas.
Moscone, I can put up with.
Moscone is good. We'll keep there. Yeah.
So yes, this industry is just moving a lot faster, and we have to catch up. And the beauty is the business wants to use AI because there is productivity. Yeah, I'm a security guy at heart. When you're running security in even a medium-sized organization, you're just not catching you're just not. There is no way you can catch every single thing. So you make up your mind. You have a bunch of people and you tell them, do this, this, and that. So AI will actually help in the coverage more than anything else. Because we can catch, AI will be able to catch whatever everything means, everything. Yeah. And then it will be smarter in terms of putting priorities. And so the industry will, in fact, be better because of AI, but the next 5 years will be a little iffy from a security standpoint. Just the adoption is probably going to be faster than the security adoption.
Can keep up. Anu, you've announced that you were leaving Atlassian. What's next for you?
I've been at Atlassian for over 10 years, and the company has gone from 200 million to 5 billion in revenue and 200 people to 14,000 people. So I feel like I've lived through multiple versions of the company. And Peter, I've kind of done every job there is at Atlassian. So what's next for me immediately after Atlassian is maybe sit down and take a little bit of a deep breath. Many of you in the audience have been operators for a while, so you know how go it is. So I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of time and doing things I enjoy. But really, when I think about what's the next big mission that calls to me, what brings me joy and what am I naturally curious about, I think AI has the potential to transform what we do in ways that, honestly, I haven't seen. Through my 20-year career, I haven't seen anything quite like this. But to me, what's really important is how do people really adopt AI in a safe way? And how do we really bring this to the maximal good of everyone possible? So the whole area of AI safety, applied AI with security and safety in the forefront is an area that's really fascinating to me. So I've started working with a bunch of startups in that space, and there's a lot to learn, and I'm constantly reminded of that. So much of technology changes that are happening at such a rapid pace, and as a technologist, it's really fun and exciting.
Just don't forget us at Snyk, okay? Make sure. Taher, Anu, thank you very much for being part of this. And I know you're staying on. You get the next one. But thank you both for joining us today.
Thanks so much,
you.
Peter.